the show this week, we drive the Kiger, that is Renault's cool new entry in the hot compact SUV segment. We get insights from auto industry leaders on digitalization in Brobot Dialogues, brought to you by Reliance General Insurance. And we also talk safety in a series brought to you by Michelin. Another month and another new compact SUV. This is the Renault Kiger and it's the French car maker's cool new entry into the hot segment. Where does it fit in and what does it stand out for? These are questions we'll be answering over the course of this video. Like other models from the compact SUV genre, the Kiger measures just under 4 meters in length and its 2500mm wheelbase is also at par with most rivals. However, the Kiger is narrower than all others and its 1605mm height measured at the roof rails is middle of the road too. In the metal though, the Kiger looks fairly substantial, if also like an XXL sized quid from some angles. That said, the Kiger has its share of interesting details. The bonnet features volume-enhancing scoops, the main headlight cluster comprising LEDs on top-spec variants looks sophisticated, and all versions right from the base can be had with a black roof. To my eyes, the Kiger looks its best when viewed from the rear. The split roof spoiler, the C-shaped taillights with their cutouts, and meaty rear bumper give the Kiger some personality. Meteor rubber for the stylish 16-inch wheels would do wonders for the Kiger's stance. The Renault Kiger is built on the CMF-A Plus platform and there are certain elements shared with its platform mates inside the cabin. But view this cabin in isolation and you'll find it really stylish, and what it stands out for is how thoughtfully it's been designed. There's loads and loads and loads of space for storing small items. I'll run you through the list. There are 2 glove boxes, the larger one being down. There are 1 liter bottle holders on each of the 4 doors. There's a huge bay with cup holders at the center armrest. There's a nice recess for your phone on top, and there's also a wireless charging bay lower down on the center console. So one thing's for sure, your car won't be messy with things just thrown around here and there. There are no soft touch materials inside the Renault Kiger, but plastic quality is more than acceptable for this price of car. What greatly uplifts the look is the well-executed configurable TFT instrument readout, which is a detail I'll get to in a bit. For their part, the front seats are quite nice and drivers will like the elevated seating position. The Kiger is available in 4 trim levels and the top-spec RXZ version packs in quite a bit for the money. There's no sunroof or cruise control, but you can add in items like a wireless phone charger, front parking sensors, ambient lighting and more from the Kiger's accessories menu. In terms of safety features, ABS with EBD, rear parking sensors and dual airbags are standard, while second from top RXT variants add in side airbags, adjustable rear headrests and ISOFIX child seat mounts as well. Shifting focus to the back seat, the news is good. This is a surprisingly roomy compact SUV. Now I'm just under 6 feet tall, the front seat is set to my driving position, and just check out the knee room I have. There's no shortage of headroom either. What's also really impressive is luggage space that stands at a class-leading 405 litres. You can fit in plenty of luggage here, but the high lip and low boot flow mean loading heavy bags will require effort. With us is the Kiger Turbo in manual gearbox avatar. The 1 litre turbo petrol engine's 100 horsepower and 160 Newton meter aren't standout figures, but then the Kiger is also quite a lightweight, tipping the scales at just over 1 ton. Performance is quite likable. You can describe the Kiger's 1 litre engine's power delivery as cool and calm. Now it starts off confidently enough, and when the turbo does kick in, you don't get this kick back into your seat. Rather, it's a smooth build of power, and what you get is actually a very wide power band. You can alter the driving experience to your liking. The Kiger comes with drive modes, which is a fairly unique feature in this class of car. Now the drive modes not only alter throttle responses, but also have a bearing on steering weight. On offer are Eco, Normal and Sport, and you can feel an impact on performance when you shuffle through the modes. In eco mode, the Kiger does feel quite restricted, but then again, the whole point of eco mode is to get the most out of every litre of petrol. Things improve noticeably when you switch to normal mode. Throttle responses become faster, the engine feels freer, and in general, the Kiger suddenly feels like it's got a spring in its step. And shifting to sport mode really does grant you access to the best the Kiger's engine has to offer. It feels the most alert, the most responsive, and is actually quite a lot of fun in sport mode. What's cool is that each of the drive modes also has a unique skin on the digital instrument display. You don't have to work the engine hard in normal driving scenarios, though as with all other cars with small capacity turbo petrol engines, you'll need to be mindful of the gear you're in on climbs. Now this gearbox is a bit long in throw, so you have to reach out a bit. It's also not the smoothest, so there's a bit of effort involved in going through the gears. There's no sixth gear, but it's not all that big a deal. The smartly chosen gear ratios also help the Kiger get up to cruising speed with ease. And you like how the Kiger feels on the highway. For a car that's light and also relatively small, the Kiger feels pretty sure-footed at highway speeds. Body movements are well contained and your passengers won't be thrown around on wavy surfaces. The stable and planted Kiger drives like a bigger car, but all's not perfect. Ambient noise levels are quite high in the Kiger, there's a lot of road noise and a surprising amount of wind noise that creeps into the cabin as well. The engine also has typical 3-cylinder characteristics with a thrum as well as a few vibrations at idle. As for ride quality in town, there is a firmness to the ride, but again, it's not to the extent of being jarring. It does smoothen out bad patches of road well enough, and the suspension is quite absorbent. On really bad roads, you can hear the suspension at work, but on the whole, the Kiger feels quite tough and almost like a mini duster. The Kiger's 205mm unladen ground clearance also comes handy over big speed breakers and the like. Add in a light and easy to twirl steering even if there are too many turns lock to lock, and you have a car that's easy to live with in town. But does it offer enough for the keen driver? It's satisfactory here too. The Kiger turns in neatly, feels poised and offers good grip. The steering isn't pin sharp, but sport mode that adds in noticeable weight does help the experience. Unlike the Duster and more recently the Triber that were mold-breaking products from Renault, the Kiger enters a well-established arena with intense competition. Even so, the Kiger has the potential to shake up the segment. It's stylish, practical and well-equipped, and by extension a compact SUV with big appeal. Sure, it's not the most premium inside and the refinement level suggests it's been built to a price, but then again, what a price it is. With the range starting at just 5.45 lakh rupees, the Kiger not only undercuts segment rivals, but also sits in a sweet spot that opens it up to buyers considering hatchbacks or compact sedans. All said, the Kiger could just give Renault its first big SUV hit after the Duster. Up next, we get insights from auto industry leaders on digitalization in Brobot Dialogues, brought to you by Reliance General Insurance. We also talk safety in a series brought to you by Michelin.
Hello and welcome to Brobot Dialogues, our ongoing series in which we discuss and debate key issues and topics that are driving the auto industry. Today, the subject for discussion is the digital revolution, the digital era that is sweeping across the industry. Now, the question is, are we doing enough digitally or are we doing too much? Is there an over-reliance on the digital medium as well? Should digital products be seen as a solution or is it just a medium amongst others? Now, to talk about this and more, we have an eminent panel. We have Tarun Garg, the Director of Sales and Marketing of Hyundai Motor India. We have Balbir Singh Dillon, the brand head of Audi India. We have Avik Chattopadhyay, the co-creator of Experial India, and Sachin Chilawat, the head of emerging market and online telesales business of Reliance General Insurance. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time. I'd like to start off with Mr. Garg, to Hyundai has done a lot in the digital space. So, just to give a sense of the current digital ecosystem and how it's evolving.
We can very clearly see that the Indian customers are really driving the digital wave across the world. COVID, of course, has accelerated this. And as far as Hyundai is concerned, frankly speaking, even before COVID, if you remember, Hormas, we had anticipated this kind of a digital shift and launched some very interesting products. Especially that click to buy in terms of a end-to-end car buying platform. So the traction keeps on going up, but that is only half the story. The second half story of the story is, of course, about the use of digital as far as in connected cars going forward, and the changing expectation of the customers from their car, because increasingly they are looking at cars as their third space, beyond their home and office.
Balbir, clearly, obviously, at the luxury end, I would imagine the digital adoption or the wave is a lot more accelerated. Is there, let's say, a little bit more intimacy that is needed with your products, which sometimes the digital medium can't really serve?
Foremost, first of all, thank you for having me in the show, and greetings to all the viewers. Yes, of course, you're right. In the luxury space, the need for digitalization is even more. You understand the complexity of the product lineup that we have, and each product have many variants, and then there is a lot of personalization involved in some of our products which we offer in India. So interaction with customer is a long process where customers spend, let's say, 50, 60, 70% of the time before buying the car online on through digital media. Then obviously, since it is a very emotional buying, eventually they end up interacting with our sales team across the network and touch feel the car. So this is just one part of the story, Hormats, which is pre-buying experience. Then during the buying experience and post-buying experience, digitalization is now everywhere. And there is also one important thing which we have to keep in mind, that in India we also believe in negotiations. So a deal is not completed unless there is a physical interaction with at a dealership. So there are multiple roles, multiple layers in this whole buying cycle. But buying cycle is just one part of the whole journey. We are in touch with our customer through our My Audi app throughout the life. All the cars that we sell now from last year onward, they're all connected cars. So buying is just one part of it. Maybe let's say 25% of the whole experience. The rest 75% is beyond buying the car. So it has to be there, and it is only growing and growing further.
Right. And Avik, you've been part of the industry. Now you're in a way outside the industry, looking in. How do you see the way the whole digital play is evolving?
Firstly, digital to me is a medium. It's not the end. Okay, so no, just like we earlier had an entirely physical interaction, then we moved on to print, then we moved on to television, electronic, radio, and so on. So digital is a medium. So let us actually regard that as the way of reaching out and offering far better experiences to customers. Secondly, what's very important is digital needs to be conversational. Okay, it is not made up of, it is not a world of bots. Okay, I mean, even if you have bots, okay, you need to have human bots, right? It has got to be two-way, as Balbir was saying. It's about emotions, and these emotions are at any are at any kind of a vehicle. The third important of the digital interface is, the definition of the customer is changing. It's changing from the customer to the consumer, right? And the consumer of tomorrow need not always be an owner of your vehicle. For example, I may not be able to afford to buy an Audi, but if my experience with having consumed the Audi interface is so interesting, I'll end up being an advocate for the brand. And that is the important role that digital can actually play. And fourth, to me, at the end of the day, it cannot be standalone. As Tarun was also saying, Balbir was also saying, it's got to be a very, very nice balance and a mix of the digital and the physical or the sensory appeal of the automobile. So to me, this is what really the world of digital means to me as a person from the outside.
Right. And, Sachin, turning to you on the insurance being done to drive the digital revolution.
Almost the writing on the wall is pretty clear. The future of insurance sector post COVID-19 lies in uh, artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, and insurtech partnerships. How insurers adopt to these technologies in these interesting times will be crucial to their future growth. In the insurance domain, for companies like us, we already had large-scale digital infrastructure in place, much ahead of pandemic. Everything from customer onboarding, processing to servicing of customers was happening digitally. But due to the nature of business we are into, customers were more used to or comfortable with the physical intervention at times. What COVID did was that it instantly switched the customer preferences from physical to digital and accelerated the use of digital ecosystem for all of us.
Clearly what we are seeing is that there's also a lot of clutter. I mean, this digital overload. So to break the clutter, I mean, do you see the next step is to be the use of AI to give more curated information to the customer?
Yes, you're right, Hormas. And I think there's a very key point here. Indian customer is very different, and sometimes his needs are also very different. So if you see, what Hyundai has done is that we have made some very specific India experience based features when we talk about, say, connectivity. And here again I like to give you an example. We used to talk about sunroof. And if you remember, Hormas, that when Creta was launched, this voice enabled sunroof became such a craze. And frankly speaking, I mean, to me as an Indian customer, I always thought that why will so many customers want a sunroof in India? I mean, with all our weather conditions. But the craze is simply going up, and it started with 20%, 30%. Now half the population wants a sunroof, and most of them want a voice-enabled sunroof. So it is also about how your aspirations are going up, and it is also about the convenience part of it. But most importantly, how you can keep the specific customer in mind, the Indian customer in mind, rather than only bringing those global curated solutions to India. I think that is very, very important.
There used to be times when the feedback from customer goes to a dealer, from a dealer goes to a call center, from a call center comes to us, a long chain. But with digital, what is happening is everything in between is being cut off. So now the feedback is also coming to us directly.
The Kirana Ka Dukan is a great example of hyper personal relationships, right? They actually maintain accounts for almost every household, and they have a fairly good idea of which household needs what kind of items. In 6 months, that person knows that, what item would he be falling short of, what is a new item that has come as a substitute of the existing one, which can actually be better and can make your life, can actually improve your life. So we've got used to it. So why not we use the same examples of the world around us, okay, and go out and apply the same hyper personal solutions to the consumers? I think it'll definitely lead to not only better retention, but also far, far greater levels of what I call active advocacy in the community.
I just want to touch upon, let's say, something like insurance. I mean, to make it more intimate. I mean, is there some way of just constantly keeping your customer engaged?
So once a customer is onboarded with us, we have an entire customer engagement. So we have a lifespan of 1 year for a motor customer, and in his lifespan of 1 year, at various stages, we are continuously connecting with the customer through various mediums, or like emails, like messages, like welcome calling. So all these factors put together, we ensure, because at the time of renewal, we don't want a customer to just notice it that the insurance company got in touch with us at the time of sale. So in the entire period till the time, even if he is not met with an accident, or he did not take a claim, we are regularly engaging with the customer via various digital mediums.
Great. Thanks for that, Sachin. It's been a really fascinating discussion, actually. I mean, a big learning for me personally as well. I think clearly, whilst we are on the digital path and accelerating up the curve, still a lot to be done. I think a lot of it also linked to our ecosystem as well. But clearly, we are on the way, and something which COVID has certainly accelerated in this whole digital revolution as we speed forward. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and really appreciate your time, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Coming up after the break, we talk safety in a series brought to you by Michelin.
Your safety, our priority. Committed to safer mobility for a better way forward. Brought to you by Michelin Tyres.
If your car comes with steel rims, it does make sense to change to alloys. They may be more expensive, but they have a load of advantages.
To begin with, alloys do look better and you can get various designs that really up the looks of your car. But more than that, it reduces the unsprung mass or the weight of the vehicle and tire and suspension parts. This improves ride and handling. It also enhances the braking of the car and more efficient cooling of the brakes.
Now that's the alloy, but you can also upsize your tire to give you better agility. And although manufacturers offer the right size, to maintain optimum ride, handling and efficiency balance, upsizing can also make a difference. And as upsizing affects all these factors, it's important to get it right. Let's take a look how.
The thing to remember is there isn't much scope to deviate from the total diameter of the tire that is originally fitted. Now, in our earlier episodes, we have explained what the markings on your tire mean. But to recap, 205 is the tire width in millimeters, and 65 is the percentage of the height of the tire wall in relevance to the width, and 15 is the size of the rim. So your tire diameter will be
So that's your total diameter. When you upsize, you shouldn't go more than 2% of this overall. Otherwise, it will adversely affect your fuel efficiency and compromise ride and handling.
Once you do upsize, here are the things to watch out for. Turn the wheel lock to lock to see that it doesn't foul with the wheel well. Also, wider tires might reduce your top speed, fuel efficiency and acceleration times due to the increased traction. They will also make your steering a little heavier.
Did you ever think there's so much to know about your tires? Hope you've enjoyed watching and learnt a lot with the Michelin Safe Mobility series.